Lessons from the Playground, written by Sister Linda Scalero, read by Sister Roseanne Champagne. During a recent visit to the playground with my great-nephew, I encountered two scenarios. Scenario 1. "No, I am going to do this myself." I heard this familiar phrase from a little girl on the slide who was battling with her mom. When my daughters were young, they would often say self if I offered any help. There was a conflict between dependence and independence, which still exists, wink. Many times, I let them do things by themselves, but when safety was an issue, I overrode the word self. Scenario 2. A little girl and her father were running toward a slide. The dad was playfully chasing her to a ramp that led to the top, and when she got to the top, she panicked like a deer in headlights and would not slide down. The dad was cajoling her to slide, and she cried, "No, I can't." After a few attempts to persuade her, he even said, "I am right here." She said no. He defeatedly said, "All right." They left. I thought about the antithesis of these two scenarios, yet there is a common thread. In scenario 1, the little girl was fighting against any help and wanted to do the task by herself. In scenario 2, the other was too afraid to go down the slide, even though her father was there. What is the thread between these two examples? Two words that come to mind are surrender and control. I have been studying and intentionally applying the word surrender as my word of the year. Neither girl was surrendering to her parents and wanted to control in different ways. What is the spiritual application for this conundrum? When I try to do things myself and don't seek the Lord, the struggle is real. The outcome is not smooth or peaceful, much like I saw the struggle with the little girl and her mom in scenario 1. Romans 12:1 says, "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service." This verse directs us to surrender as a living sacrifice, where every part of our lives becomes an offering to God. This can be accomplished through relinquishing control and trusting God's plan for our lives, and proceeding with a heart that is willing and open to His leading. In scenario 2, despite the father's presence and reassurance that he was there, the little girl would not let go of her fears and slide. She panicked, and they had to leave. She never experienced the joy of sliding down the slide by herself with a gentle breeze and reaching the goal, in this case, the bottom. A verse that comes to mind is Proverbs 3:5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." I can relate to this little girl in scenario 2. In situations where I worry and try to tell God how to resolve a problem, and it doesn't go in that direction, I develop fear, much like the girl who was stuck at the top. I have learned that when I pray and surrender to the Lord's will, I develop a greater sense of peace and lean into His understanding. Takeaways. These two little girls taught me some important lessons about surrender and control. A sense of control is ultimately at the root of the inability to surrender, whether it stems from fear or a sense of, "I can do this by myself." The consequence is missing out on the blessings my Heavenly Father has to offer, even though He whispers, "I am here." Who knew a simple visit to the playground would bring so much to light? The slide is a visual representation of surrendering control and fear. The result is experiencing peace the Lord has to offer while feeling the gentle breeze of His blessings as we travel down the slide of life. A simple lesson learned on the playground.